The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. That's a Bible verse from the book of John, chapter 10, verse 10. The book of John from the four Gospels. And that was the Messiah talking. He followed up that statement by saying, "But I've come so that you may have life, and you may have life more abundantly." How about that? You know what's interesting? I was looking at social media today. I checked a couple of emails, and I got a couple of notifications of people had posted some things, and which inspired this particular video. One post in particular, an individual said, "Not today, Satan. Not today. You're not going to steal my joy." So I got to thinking about that, and I was like, okay. So I went and looked up that verse, and I'm like, who is really the thief that steals people's joy? And technically, nowhere in that discourse of the Messiah does it says the devil is responsible for stealing people's joy. The fact is that the devil is incapable of stealing your joy. So if the devil can't take your joy, then who can? I mean, why does the devil even get a bad rap? Why is he even included in the equation anyway when it comes to taking away somebody's joy? Or should I say, when it comes to the way somebody mentally processes their circumstances? The thing about the devil, and this particular devil that we're talking about, I think that guy's kind of busy right now. He's got problems of his own, because if you remember, that particular devil is the entity that tempted Adam and Eve, and that entity was cursed. God told him, "On your belly you shall go, you shall grovel in the dust and eat the dust for the rest of your days." So apparently it ain't that devil. It's not. The devil is not the thief of joy. And again, I have to pose the question: if the devil is not stealing your joy, then who's stealing your joy? Well, I'm going to tell you something, and I wouldn't blame you if you don't even believe me, but joy is siphoned away because people conform to the world. It says in the Bible later on in the book of Romans, I believe it's chapter 12, do not be conformed to the world, but be transformed by the renewal of your mind. And if you get into the realm of world conformity, and it's a mind thing, then the world siphons away your joy. Not literally, because to conform to the world, what that means is to give yourself a worldly identity to invest your spiritual energy in, and to have faith in the integrity of whatever worldly identity you give to yourself, right? And one of the byproducts of faith is joy. But you have to invest your faith in the right way, in the right entity. And conforming to the world, conforming to an artificial identity that you create for yourself in your mind. Anything unnatural will harm you. It's not good for you. Whether it's physically, you eat something unnatural, or if you ingest something mentally that's unnatural. So when you conform to the world and you invest your faith in a worldly identity, which is not the identity, not the natural identity that God originally gave you, what do you get? You get human nature. Human nature. You believe in the power of human nature. Human nature is not God nature. If it were, the Bible wouldn't tell you you must be transformed by the renewal of your mind. That basically means you have to be transformed by the renewal of your identity. You have to drop human nature, reclaim your godly nature that you were originally born with. And that's a problem for a lot of people. I mean, the last thing anybody would want to admit is that they're their own joy thief, that they're stealing their own joy based upon the way they choose to process what happens to them in this world. And it's not just worldly circumstances. Think about it. The things that go on in your head mentally, how your thoughts are racing, rambling, running, conniving, scheming, just all over the place, all over the map. The way you process what goes on in your head, the way you filter it through the human nature that you may not want to let go of, that steals your joy too. Like nothing can even be happening out in the real world. Like I'm sitting here right now in my living room, but I'm thinking neurotic thoughts, stealing my own joy. It's not the devil. Like I said, the devil, he's got problems of his own. He's trying to get up from off his belly, probably trying to get out the dust. He's probably choking from eating dust. Who knows? But human nature. You could be stealing your own joy and you may not even be aware of it. I mean, you may have been told a time or two that, or more, that it's the way you choose to use your thoughts which determines your level of happiness. But did you really take that to heart? Or did you just intellectualize that and you regurgitate it every now and then, that philosophy, when you see somebody else down in the dumps? Get that temporary, cheerful feeling of elation. And then it's back to business as normal, being your own thief of joy. Your own personal joy thief. Tell you, when you look at it like that, don't you think it's time you start considering the possibility of trying to figure out how to renew your mind, how to release your fear of letting go of human nature? And you know, human nature, I mean, there are people out there that are even older than I am, and they spent a lifetime of building this worldly identity, of conforming with the world, building this worldly identity for themselves. And it's like this majestic, tall building or statue, and you ask them to tear it down? Really? You had a nerve to ask them to tear down a false idol that they spent their whole life, decades building? Yeah. It's not going to happen. They'd rather go out and kill, murder somebody than to destroy that false identity that they've spent their entire life constructing. But unfortunately, that's too bad, because over time, as you keep building this identity, this worldly identity, as you keep adding to the human nature, you can simultaneously, you are consistently adding to that inner misery, and you're making it harder and harder for yourself over the course of time to experience true and natural joy. And you have to go out and look for outside stimuli, or something exciting to do, or somebody you like to hang out with, because you refuse to stop being your own joy thief. But as long as there's still breath in your body, you can swallow your pride and you can stop stealing your own joy. You can let go of human nature, and you can, as you let go of human nature, you simultaneously receive, in direct correlation and proportion, your godly nature, your faith. The measure of faith that God has dealt unto you is gradually restored, and you can use it for more useful things besides believing in human nature. You can use it for more useful things, like manifesting a prosperous life for yourself while you're here on this earth. You can use it for something like that, as opposed to building this false idol in your mind that you believe to be yourself, but that's really world conformity, human nature. Think about it. I mean, it's not too late. You should give God a try. Give God's way a shot. I guarantee you, you won't be sorry. You won't be sorry at all. As a matter of fact, you'll be happy, perhaps for one of the first times in your life, genuine happiness that's not based upon anything outside of yourself or anybody outside of yourself. It's just a natural flowing of a fountain, like that's fed by underground springs. Natural joy. When was the last time you recall having natural joy? People get spurts of it, inklings of it, like when a newborn baby enters the world and they get that feeling of joy, the parents, the relatives. But even still, that is kind of intermingled with something going on in the world that serves as an outside stimuli, because had that baby not been born, that feeling wouldn't have welled up from within. You want to release, take away that cap, that cork that plugs up the bottle or the spout that stops that wellspring from flowing from within. You want to take off that cork or that cap that's getting progressively thicker and tighter, that we call human nature. You want to stop being a thief of your own joy. I mean, you are responsible. If somebody takes your joy away from you, or something takes away your joy, that's really your imagination of them stealing your joy. The fact still remains that it's something you did with your mind, or something you allowed to happen mentally, whether you do it or whether you allow for it, it's still you. And it's time to change the strategy, the spiritual strategy. Time to change up. Time to be transformed by the renewal of the mind. Anyway, thank you for listening. My name is Dario Thomas. And this book, The Power of Spiritology, written by yours truly, it can help you stop being the thief of your own joy. It can help you in many other ways. So get the book. Support this ministry. Subscribe to the Spiritology Television Network on YouTube. Thank you for listening. God bless.